Hello, everyone. Welcome. Angela McMillan here, founder of the Movement Online Academy and the festival host. As a woman, I'm currently running on trying to keep track of 3 separate time zones while running on coffee and sheer passion. Before I get to today's live video, I just want to show you a little orientation tour of the Movement Online Academy. So here we are in the conversations area. Oh, there we are in the conversations area. So after this live lessons, you can come in here and share what's on your mind. How was that lesson for you? All of the replays from the current festival panels, there were 3 panels over the last 2 days, are now uploaded here in the replay section. So now let me introduce to you my lovely presenter today, who knows that too many people over 50 assume achy back, stiff joints, and shaky balance are just part of getting older. Is that you? But what if the answer isn't to push through the pain, but retrain how we move altogether? Modern neuroscience confirms that what somatic practitioners have understood for a very long time: to move better, you must first sense better. Sonja Johansson is a senior Feldenkrais practitioner with over 25 years of experience, helping women build strength, restore balance, and move with confidence, while exercising safely and sustainably. She began ballet classes at 5 as a shy, quiet child. So did I. And discovered a sense of freedom her words couldn't express. Now in her 50s, that joy has only deepened. She finds it again on the swing dance floor, moving to a live jazz band where each step becomes a playful act of listening, trust, and creativity shared with a dance partner. Welcome, Sonja Johansson.
Thank you so much, Angela. I think we all deserve a slow, deep breath down in your belly, maybe. We're here, it's all going well, and I'm really pleased to be a part of this festival, and I'm really excited to be sharing a short somatic movement exploration, which is going to highlight some of these things that we've been talking about of somatic education. So, in this guided Feldenkrais lesson, we're going to be really focusing on posture and symmetry and understanding that your posture isn't a fixed aspect of yourself. We talk about actor in the Feldenkrais method, but it's a dynamic expression of how you move and how you organize yourself. So it's going to be a gentle side lying lesson. Most of it's going to be done laying on your side, a little arching, a little rounding of your spine. And you're going to initiate from different locations. So we'll explore many of the principles of the Feldenkrais method within the lesson. So Angela's going to demonstrate, and we're going to be, well, you're going to need an area of floor, maybe your carpet, or maybe you've got a mat. And if you don't want to get down onto the ground, you might like to do this on your bed. Now, I'm really recommending that you have 2 towels. So I've folded up one of my towels quite high, and Angela's just going to demonstrate why you need maybe 2 of these, whatever you've got handy, so that when she's side lying, do you mind going and lying on your side? Show us your back for a moment. Because I just want to point out the reason to have quite a bit of stack under your head, a bit of support under your head when you're side lying, is you want to ensure that your head and your neck are in a continuous line with your upper back. So, Angela, can you take away that towel? And you can see how her head drops off to the side, and we want to be sure that your head is supported. So I'll give you a moment to go and find 2 towels or a blanket. And before we begin, and we're actually going to start standing, we're going to do a simple check-in. And this is a kind of test movement, baseline, if you like, not in the conventional sense of taking measurements, but just as a way of being able to sense and notice how things might have changed throughout the course of this short experience. It's kind of a movement experiment, if you like. So we're going to start just standing behind a chair is a great thing, because then you can just put your hands on the back of the chair. And what I'd like you to do is, if you're wearing shoes, if you're wearing socks, take them off. If you're wearing a tight belt, please, loosen up. If you're wearing a big watch band, and maybe just stand and think about the amount of work it takes to hold your head up. It's a pretty sizable weight, the mass of your skull. Do you feel quite tired? Is it draining you? Is it taking a lot out of you? Or is it quite easy to have your head held rather upright, as we call it? And in the same moment that you're sort of feeling the amount of work it takes to keep your head up, notice the imprint of your feet. Don't look at it, but get a sense of the way your feet might press against sand if you were on the beach, for example. And just notice if one of your feet seems to be a bit heavier, deeper into that imaginary sand. And now we're going to do that intentionally. We're just going to slowly drift sideways. So start maybe going in the direction that you already felt your foot was a bit deeper, heavier against the floor. Pause there for a moment. The other foot doesn't have to be lifted. And then go ahead and drift across the midline and make your way onto the other footprint. And again, just hang out there for a moment. So go slower than you think is necessary, because there's actually a lot of detail that I'm asking you to pay attention to. Some of it you're going to immediately, I sense that, I know that, I can perceive that. And others are going to be like, I don't know what's going on. There's a lot going on right now. Do it one more time, but a bit slower than before. That is, drift over to one foot and notice if your head naturally is a bit more buoyant and upright. And then go across to the other side and find out, when are you taller? When does your leg feel more sturdy? And I'm actually going to give your legs names. Not the traditional names. We usually call them left and right. But one leg, I'm going to call your more support, your sturdy leg. Does that make sense? The other leg, well, we could say it's the side that you want to improve. So now get your mat ready, wherever you're going to lie down, your towels, your folded towels, or maybe one blanket folded up is ready for you. Make your way down to the floor. And I just want to point out that throughout this whole session, it's really important that you don't do anything that causes pain. So come and lie on your back. Come and lie quite symmetrically so that you're facing the ceiling. And you can have your legs bent, you can have your legs straight. But remember, throughout a somatic education lesson or movement experiment, puzzle, if you like, it's really important that even if you are in pain, that you don't do anything that increases, makes that pain more. So if you're settled on the floor now, take a moment to imagine again that you're lying on the beach and the sand was raked and smoothed flat before you arrived. What kind of imprint does your entire body make now? You were noticing your footprints earlier, but it's a bit more complex, noticing every part of you, from your head to your feet, your hands if they're on the ground, maybe your elbows. What stands out to you? Because we're going to do another kind of testing movement. Don't get all like worked up, I'm going to do really well at my test. Use it as a lens that you perceive yourself more accurately and honestly. So if you're comfortable and happy to have your legs lying long, that just means you're lying a little more on your heels, possibly the outside of them if your legs are relaxed, and you're leaning on your calves, again, probably a little more on the outside of your calves. And now that your legs are lying long, which one feels a bit longer? Which one feels like one heel is actually closer to the bottom, the end of your mat? And that's precisely what you're going to do. Could you start with the leg, not left, right, as I said I wasn't going to refer to them that way, but the leg that you balanced on better. Do you remember? Simply do this action where you kind of push or drag your foot a little bit closer to the bottom end of your mat. And then, of course, you're going to have to reset and allow yourself to pause so that there's a bit of a gap, a bit of a space between one movement and the next. A chance, if you like, to refresh your palate. If you were eating a meal, it would be what happens between the courses, but we're, of course, paying attention to sensation. Could you do it again? Lengthen the leg that you balanced on better. And if you've just lengthened or pushed one foot toward the bottom of the mat, the same foot each time, that's fine. Now, change and explore what it means to sort of slide your foot. There's a real sense of having to get behind your leg, which of course has something probably to do with your pelvis and your back. Do you have to work harder on the other side? Does your foot just slip down as if there was ice or you're on a banana peel to the bottom end of your mat? Remember that feeling. Please now bend up your knees. And as I mentioned, we're going to do most of this session side lying. And I'd like you to lie on the side of your better balancing leg. Keep your knees bent. Now, that simply means that by the time you're laying on your side, you will have the leg that you didn't balance on so well, wasn't so sturdy, closer to the ceiling. Your knees are a little bent, your hip joints are a little bent. Some folk, they like to have something between their knees, do you? And it's really important now that you have something quite a bit propping up your head. Because Angela demonstrated for us, and I want you to feel with your head supported on that little riser. That's what those folded towels or blankets are. They're a riser. Notice if the feeling of your neck and your head seems to be in line with the rest of your spine. How does that seem to you? And then by way of contrast, almost like, well, the way we think of Goldilocks, take that away for a moment, slide it out, and feel what happens to the weight of your head. It just slips to the floor. And for many people, this is not particularly comfortable, and it's not very nice for your bottom shoulder. So could you bring your riser, your folded towel, blanket, back under your head and be a better Goldilocks and make it just right? So now to the main movement, the star guest of tonight's movement experiment. And we're going to do a little bit of, let's call it rounding. But we're going to start from a very particular location. Can you bring your hand, probably the hand that's closest to the ceiling, bring your fingertips to your belly button, right there in the middle of your abdomen. And imagine that someone was gently, consistently pushing into your belly button, and you quite like this person, so you went, that's fine. I'm going to yield, I'm going to mold, and I'm going to make myself rounder as if I was being pushed initially from this place. Now, of course, after you've rounded yourself or curved yourself, you have to return to your starting place so, well, you can do it again. Now that you understand where you're beginning the movement of rounding your whole spine, well, your pelvis might tip a little bit as well. You can put your hand on the floor. A few times, take all the time you need to really feel what it would be like if you could create a full spinal rounding. It's not a fast motion, it's not a big motion, but it simply initiates from this part of you, your belly button. Good. Leave that. Now, bring your fingertips to the bottom of your breastbone. Do you know where your breastbone is? It's right in the center of your chest. And I'd like you to slide up and down. I've got a zipper right where I would need to put my fingers. So I'm going to move the zipper aside. And if you happen to be a person who wears a bra, it's usually where the two halves, the two sides of your bra meet. Can you find the very bottom of your sternum? And now go back to that rounding, curving, flexing of your spine action. But this time, picture that it begins exactly here, a little higher than before. Perhaps it makes the feeling of rounding your back, curving. As they say, it's the beginning of rounding yourself into a ball. Does it make it feel a bit different? Rounding from there. Maybe once, twice, slower than before each time you do it again. Do you notice your breath as you curve yourself? Are you always breathing in at the same moment? Always breathing out at the same moment? That's quite literally the definition of a habit. And just rest your hand on the floor for a moment, because we've got another location, another initiation place, as it were, a starting point. Can you find your pubic bones? Now, if you're not sure what that means, it's somewhere on your pelvis for sure. It's in the front at the bottom of your abdomen. And if you were wearing jeans right now, it would be the very bottom of your zipper. Can you find that place on your skeleton? Because that's what it is. Your bony pelvis, it's the very front, bottom, sticky outy bit of your pelvis. Does it feel okay to put your hands there? Now, what would it be like if someone gently pushed you from there, sent you backwards? What's backward? Well, that's the wall that's behind you. Does it create the same movement of rounding your back? Or would you have to adapt and mold quite differently if you were made of rubber? What would you be doing to your entire spine and pelvis complex? Because they're really connected, aren't they? Lovely. Rest your hand once again. Let's do a little reset. And there's one more location, and it's bringing your fingertips to the very top of your breastbone. And it's actually the place where there's a bit of a gap between your collarbones. Can you find that little indent at the top of the bone we call the sternum? Now, there's no need to push with your fingers, but can you begin to change the shape of you as if you were being pushed backward from there? How would the rounding of your back have a different nuance if it was a different instrument, for example, in the orchestra? There are different instruments in the wind section, different instruments in the string section, and they have their own timbre, their own kind of uh, warmth to them. And then leave your hand resting again. So that was a lot of rounding, wasn't it? That was a lot of curving, shortening the front of you and lengthening the back of you. This time, with very little time, but not feeling rushed at all, we're going to use our hand to give us the feeling that we are arching. So put your fingers once again on your belly button. That's where we first started. And if you're able to, because you have a good amount of freedom in your shoulder joint, can you put your hand opposite your belly button on the back of you? And that's going to be somewhere on your spine. I suggest you have your elbow lifted so it's pointing to the ceiling. You might like to use the back of your hand because it's usually easier to reach back there. Do you think you can find precisely and exactly opposite the same level, the same height as your belly button? Where did you decide? Now begin to push forward. Begin to let that part of your spine move forward. That's the same direction your nose and your knees are pointing. And this motion you're making, this action, is called arching. It's a kind of back bending movement. It's very much the beginning of a back bend. Just put your hand on the floor and use that new location, the back of you, the new movement, the arching. Explore it a couple of times. I'm wondering, when you push forward from here, it's really maybe the back of your belt, the back of your waist. Do you find yourself spontaneously breathing in or out? Now bring your fingers again to the very top of your breastbone. Might be where the pendant of your necklace is, the very top of your breastbone. And now reach around behind you. And I'm wondering, can you decide upon which vertebra, which part of your spine is opposite the very top of your breastbone? Can you decide that? The top of your breastbone is probably where the label on your t-shirt is. Put your fingers there. Now, what would it be like to arch, to extend, to kind of begin the very first part of a back bend from this part of you? Maybe you'd like to rest your hand as you imagine yourself being pushed forward by a very benevolent, very friendly hand. Just put your hand on the floor as you experiment with that idea. Once or twice. Just get a flavor, savor it a little bit, but not long. Now, there were two more places that you had your fingers resting on the front of you. One of them was the bottom of your breastbone. The other was your pubic bones. I'm going to give you the option, and you've got to make the decision. Are you going to think about directly on the back surface of you, opposite the bottom end of your breastbone? Or are you going to think precisely on the rear, opposite your pubic bones? Which one appeals to you? Because now, a few times, once or twice, or maybe three, but very slowly, begin to bring that part of you, the back surfaces of you, giving you that instigation of pushing forward. Does it feel like you're fighting yourself? Does it feel like you're searching for what that place might be, what it might feel like to arch, or whatever that movement would be? And then finally, leave all of that. If you happen to have two things under your head, now's the time to push one of them away and slowly come to lie on your back again. Come back to that first position you found yourself when you arrived at this movement lesson, this movement sensory motor exploration. I'm wondering right now if you feel quite lopsided, the opposite of even, uneven. Because this is a very common way of waking up your brain, waking up your nervous system. We end the session here, partly because it's only a short session, and partly that might be one of the principles, one of the devices we would use in a Feldenkrais lesson to say, hey, what's really going on? Do you remember that movement where your legs were long, your legs were lying, and you just compared them? You noticed which one felt like it was the longer leg and which one felt a little shorter. And if you remember which was your better balancing leg, of course, that was the leg that was close to the ground when you were side lying. Go ahead and with your leg, your knee straight, lengthen it even farther. Push it down toward the bottom of your mat once or twice. And then change over. Make sure there's nothing in the way for your foot to bump into. That's going to prevent you from lengthening your leg and using your spine. But do the other leg. Remember, this was the leg that you really discovered ahead of time when we were standing. You don't balance on so well. And then, in your own time, of course, we're going to wrap up the session. But if you'd rather lie here a little longer and continue to observe and sense yourself, that's a very good thing to do. But I'm going to invite you to roll to your side and keeping your spine elongated, neutral, and tethered. Make your way back up to standing. But do take your time. Pay attention to your breathing. Be sure your breathing is easy and relaxed. And if you were standing behind your chair for a little balance, for a little assistance, please do that. And if you remember noticing if it was easy or hard to hold up your head right now, what does it feel like in this moment? As you're paying attention to the uprightness, the verticality of your head, can you also be aware of the imprint of your feet? And slowly drift side to side, going from the leg that you initially balanced on and felt more sturdy and secure on, and then over onto the other side. And now would be a great time to go for a walk, but of course that brings us to the end of what is a very short 20-minute movement experience. And I hope you were able to sense small changes through simply paying attention, moving with delicacy and curiosity. And maybe you want to share with us in the comments how it was for you, and wondering how it was for you, Angela, on
It was
this.
lovely.
Yeah.
And we are going to go straight over to Dorothy's lesson after this, if hopefully everyone has the link to that live video happening in a moment. But that feels lovely. And yes, I was a little bit dysregulated at the start of this live video because we did have a few tech issues in the background. Thank you, Sonja Johansson, for calming my system.
And that is certainly one of the benefits of the Feldenkrais method. Life never goes the way you plan, and being able to self-calm, we call it, self-regulate, is a very important part of the benefits of this work. And I just want to celebrate because today, of course, where I am, it's the 6th of May, Moshe Feldenkrais's birthday. So I'd like to celebrate and thank my lucky stars that I stumbled across this amazing methodology. Thank you,
Yeah.
Moshe. Thank you,
Thank you.
Angela.
Thank you. So let's end it there. And thank you again. I'm so happy that we're doing this around Moshe's birthday. Yesterday, we had 2 panel discussions on my May 6th for Moshe's birthday. And then starting today, which is still Moshe's birthday for you, with these 2 wonderful lessons. Thank you, Sonja.
You're welcome. I hope you enjoy the next one.
Bye for now.